Hey, hello, I'm Autumn, and this is my presentation, Goncharov, Fact and Interactive Fiction. So, Goncharov is an internet phenomenon that arose on the social media site Tumblr in November of 2022. The basic idea is that there's a movie called Goncharov made in 1973 by Martin Scorsese, and it's like the greatest mafia movie ever made. So people have created all sorts of like fan fiction and art and music networks for Goncharov. It became an international sensation with news articles from the New York Times, The Guardian, among other places. And even Martin Scorsese himself acknowledged the existence of the fake movie, saying, "I made that film years ago." But of course, the movie doesn't actually exist. Martin Scorsese never actually made a movie called Goncharov, as far as we know. So people on the internet just like proactively brought it into reality. I will be talking about what Goncharov is, what people made of it, and the game jam that came out of it, and as well as some of the works of like interactive fiction that came out of the game jam. So there will always be something lost with this sort of presentation, as opposed to if you experience Goncharov live on Tumblr from the inside, but I'll try to translate it to the best of my capability. So the first inklings of Goncharov came in 2020 with this Tumblr post. Tumblr user Zoo Tycoon purchased some boots printed with the text, "Martin Scorsese presents Goncharov, the greatest mafia movie ever made." The movie, of course, does not exist, but it was funny that like the boots made of a fake movie, and there was some back and forth on the original post, which became pretty popular. And then for 2 years, the post entered a period of dormancy. In October of 2022, Tumblr user Doc Suffrage identifies the most likely actual origin of the label on the boots, which seemed to have come from a movie called Gomorrah about the Naples Mafia presented by Martin Scorsese. Somehow that got transmuted into the shoes, probably a mistake by the people who made them. So this set the stage for the revival of the meme a month later with this very well-designed fake movie poster by Tumblr user Beelzebub on November 19th, 2022. This post got really popular. It received like 72,000 notes, and it just snowballed from there. It became the top trending topic on Tumblr for about a week, basically taking over the website with fanfiction, fan art, music, fake screenshots, and so on. Most of the subsequent characters, cast, and general ideas that became sort of the canon of Goncharov came from this poster. This is a list of the canon characters of Goncharov. There are many versions of these characters, as many versions as there are participants in the Goncharov phenomenon. But there are some commonalities that arose out of the social media consensus generation process. First, we have the Russian mafioso Goncharov, whom the movie is named after. His first name is never stated, and he's a Russian mobster who moved to Naples, Italy. Then we have his estranged wife, Katya Goncharova. And Andrei the banker Danilov is Goncharov's associate and or rival and or lover and or enemy. Then there's Mario Ambrosini, a local mafia don. Valerie is Katya's brother who might work for the KGB and absolutely hates Goncharov. And there's Ice Pick Joe Morelli, a tortured and deeply religious mafia enforcer. Finally, there's Sophia, who wasn't part of the original poster, but exists because he was thought that it would be good if the movie had more than one woman in it. And if there's someone who could be in a relationship with Katya. There are many versions of how the story of Goncharov was created, but there seem to be three figures who pop up all the time. There's Martin Scorsese himself, who was either the director or producer. There's Domenico Procacci, who is the real person who was the producer on the actual movie Gomorrah, who would have been 13 years old in 1973 when he produced the movie, so he was a really talented person. And the writer and/or director was named Matteo JWHJ0715. And the story is that his mother was Italian and his father was a license plate. Sources differ on whether he was actually the director or writer, or if one source says he just took the credit as a director. So for the plot, there's like a huge range of potential plots in Goncharov. There's never really so much in single overarching plot so much as a collection of scenes, because people love writing individual scenes. Since we're working in the mode of collaborative consensus-based storytelling, basically if enough people liked certain scenes and reblocked their posts enough, enough people saw them, basically they became part of the de facto canon in people's minds. What's consistent is that there are a lot of like really big, really fraught moments with symbolism everywhere. Basically like fake deep quotes and scenes, except the fakeness and the deepness are both purposeful. And there are a lot of homoerotic moments and violent moments and combinations of both, as you can see on the left. That's the fight between Goncharov and Andrei, where the latter betrays the former. And the other scene is where Katya fakes her death with the help of Sophia, or maybe she's actually killed her, something like that. A lot of the Goncharov fandom consists of matching existing movie scenes from like The Godfather and other movies with made-up quotes that could possibly be from the movie Goncharov. People like making these like cinematographic edits with these really big, really important quotes. So basically what the consensus plot consists of is a disconnected set of scenes and quotes forcing any to fit into any actual movie. Yeah. So Goncharov is supposedly a very complex story with a lot going on beneath the surface, which is part of why it became popular on Tumblr, because the themes really resonated with the Tumblr community at the time. On the fake Wikipedia page on the left, which is someone created on Archive of Our Own, it says that the themes include the passage of time, reality and memory, homoeroticism, and female empowerment. Homoeroticism is like kind of the key here. The relationship between Goncharov and Andrei Dadonov is a very popular one. They were supposedly enemies and/or lovers. The lesbian relationship between Katya and Sophia is also very popular and the top ship on Archive of Our Own right now. People also wrote a lot of fictional criticisms of the work, analytical essays and so on, like a set of reviews from Letterboxd and a fake newspaper review from Jean Siskal. So my part in this saga was creating the Goncharov Game Jam on itch.io. I did this for the same reason anyone else did anything from Goncharov, because it was fun, basically. The Game Jam ran from November to December of 2022. I posted about it on Tumblr, and I got like 1,000 notes, which is a high number for me. And it had 32 entries. The games were about evenly divided between tabletop games and essays on one hand, and interactive fiction and visual novels on the other hand. I will mostly be talking about the interactive fiction and visual novels because I played them all, while I have not played like most of the tabletop games. So the games can be divided into other ways as well. There were games that focused on the meta story of Goncharov, about either a fictional story about how the movie was made, and there were also games that took place entirely within the world of Goncharov. Basically, all of the games were fan fiction, but they were about fan fiction for 2 or 3 different concepts. Either the Goncharov canon, or the Goncharov who lost 1973 Scorsese movie, or like Goncharov, the concept in general, basically a fan fiction of the fandom. These are some examples of games that take place within Goncharov, primarily within the Goncharov universe. They're often interpretations of different popular scenes in the story. For example, pivotal scenes between Goncharov and Andrei, or scenes between Katya and Sophia. It was cool seeing like everyone's interpretation of the basic bones of the story. So this is a story like without an actual canon, but somehow the basic archetypes and characters and scenes so on are always recognizable. There were also games that were more about the meta story. They either present the creation of a movie called Goncharov, or they're about exploring the movie, or they're about exploring a world in which the movie Goncharov exists. This game is called Creating Goncharov by Albi, and this is probably the largest and most complex of the Goncharov games. To me, it was really surprising how much someone was able to make in like a few weeks. This is a game about creating the movie Goncharov. The story is basically that you play as a producer or writer working for a film company, and you decide the plot of the movie Goncharov. You can choose the character relationships, themes, and plot, and so on, and the sequence of scenes and what they mean. And I think it's a really cool game, and I would recommend checking it out. This game is called Goncharov 2073 by Sweetfish, and it's another very meta story. It's about the AI-enabled creation of an actual Goncharov movie in the year 2073 with AI revived Martin Scorsese. I thought it was just like really cool, really relevant for the modern age. There are also a bunch of other games about Goncharov, which either imagine a world in which Goncharov was real or was being made real, like Goncharov Coda, Goncharov the visual novel by Martin Scorsese, Finding Goncharov, and more broadly, moving slightly away from the topic of Goncharov, the topic about games about fandom is a pretty fruitful one for interactive fiction. A lot of these games are like games in which there is a fake media, and it describes the universe and the discourse surrounding it. Excalibur is a game about like a fake British TV show, and the wiki. It's basically a fake wiki about a British TV show. Secret Little Haven is about like a fictional magical girl show, and partly about that, and like the social media that surrounds it. And the Paradox Between Worlds is a game that I made. I always have to give a shout out to it. And yeah, Long Distance Relationship is about like a fictional version of Neopets. So all these are like kind of Goncharov adjacent in some way, along with like many other interactive fiction and games about fandom that I have not shown here. In conclusion, this is a quote what I really liked from one of the essays from the Goncharov Game Jam. And despite all odds, this vast emptiness gives the game a kind of generative power. Authorial intent in our world is so often used to bludgeon those who interpret art in ways beyond what the author dreamed. But here, the author is the serial number of an old boot. Goncharov is a game. More than that, it is a seed. It is an aspiration that creates something from nothing. And this is from Goncharov, an essay and game by Libre. And you can find that on Ishio. And yeah, I didn't even get to like the music and stuff. There's like a huge playlist on YouTube with like a soundtrack compilation with 69 tracks and yeah, sources and stuff. Thanks, that's all. Questions, I guess? Yeah.
Has anyone made actual fake clips for the movie?
Yes. And okay, so there's like a fake like 5-minute movie of Goncharov that someone filmed.
Cool.
It's not fake in the sense, but the clip actually exists. So it's like
Where can I find the Goncharov wiki?
hold on. I don't have it. See it right now. Wow, it's apparently. I can't see. I can't read. It's apparently not good.
This is the Wikipedia page. What about the, like, is there a fandom wiki?
It probably is. I haven't seen if there's like a I don't think there is actually. There's like a Google, like several Google Docs with like information. I don't think there's like a
Wait, is this Wikipedia or is this
actually
No,
no, it's not.
no.
It's archive of our own. Someone styled it to look like Wikipedia. Questions?
It might be interesting to study this in context of other things that have been, or don't exist, but were sort of made to exist. I'm reminded of a late night talk show host who got a non-existent book literally onto the New York Times top 10 list by like telling his people to ask for the name of the book that didn't exist, and if enough bookstores like record that people ask for something, it'll go onto the bestseller list. So it literally made it in the New York Times. And then because of that, people started writing about it. It was fake book, and I think it actually ended up got written by someone.
Do you think this is related to alternate reality games somewhere?
Possibly. I'm not like I haven't actually played any alternate reality games before, so I might not know firsthand. But yeah, you can think of it as like an alternate reality game, I guess.
People have commented on the connection to the Calvino, the contrastic style of describing work. Or Lawrence was also good for writing interviews. I think of works that exist.
What did you call it? The what style?
Ekphrastic.
NarraScope has also done this.
Sounds like that's a different reference.
We don't have anything for the next like next time slot, right?
We actually do. We can wrap this up. Thank you very much.